Alright, howdy.
Howdy.
So I'm Colton Kuno. I'm the one who's been grading y'all's homeworks. So yeah, if you have homework questions, you can send them to me. If you want to argue back points, I'm all for it. And then reminder about the help desk hours is there. And by the way, I'm recording this whole thing, and I'll send a YouTube link afterwards. So today we'll talk about why this class exists. We'll do the first practice exam, and then I'll give y'all some tips at the end. So this really is the first job applicable course I'll have. So like, I mean, you know, calculus is important and all, but like Calc 3, you need to know how to take triple integrals. Not really. Material science is like kind of implicitly applicable, but you know, not directly for us. So I'll show y'all what I did this past summer. I spent it all in VBA. And yeah, what you forget, like I spent all summer in Stack Exchange, just because every problem you could have, somebody else has had it before, and it's on a forum somewhere. And yeah, you're not going to escape Excel. I made this comment on somebody's homework and made myself laugh. So I interned at Walmart, and they were putting in a new automation system. So this is what it looked like. Let me go back. So the one I had, or the one I worked on, didn't have these freestanding boxes. They were all in these little totes, what we'll call. And so the order filler comes over here, and he takes them off a pallet, sticks them in the tote, and then the computer takes them up, puts them where they need to go. And this is a little clip of them running. I actually duct taped my phone onto one of the totes and like let it go up, and it was really nerve-wracking. So yeah, and then on the opposite side, let's see if I don't think there's a clip of it, but it's basically just the opposite on the other side. Take them out, put them on another pallet. And so the advantage to that is that, like, you know, the ones that you move a lot, that you go and grab like 30 of them, that's not a big deal when you're going over there to get 30, but if you have to go over there to get one, and you go somewhere else to get one, that's a lot of wasted time. So this thing, all you gotta do is, it knows what's coming and it just sends it down and it's ready for you and you have to worry about it. So one of the things you have to know is, so you can't fit all the items in there, so you have to pick which ones you want to put in there, and one of the things you have to know to do that is how many of, we'll call this a case, that's the item that you deal with, and then the tote is what you put them in. So you need to know how many you can fit in there. So there's two, you can rotate the case 90 degrees, and there's 3 unique faces to it. So that's 6 orientations. Let me get that out of the way. So what it does is it packs it into the corner, all 6 different orientations, and it stores the amount that you could fit in there that way. But obviously there's some extra space here we need to take advantage of. So we don't want to work with these that weird shape that's not rectangular, so there's 8 different ways to slice that up. And so now we're at 48 combinations, and then treating each leftover region just like the original tote, 144. And so we pack it in with all the 6 different orientations, so 864 different combinations per SKU, per item. And so basically, I mean, this one, like, you know, you don't want to have to put one in there in one orientation and then put a flat one and then put another vertical one. You know, it makes sense for the order fill just to grab 3 at a time, plop them in there, grab 2, rotate it, plop it in there. So yeah, I actually came up with that on my own, but of course it's been done before. So does anybody have any questions before we do the practice exam? No? Cool. So I'm sure y'all that got points off for not verifying that the user entry was valid before proceeding, we're kind of upset about that, but one of the things about it is, like, so somebody's gonna send you an email at one day, say, you know, somebody from a department, and say, hey, can you write me a macro for this? And so, you know, they don't have any coding knowledge, they don't know what they want, so you're gonna have to interpret that. So that's part of the class. So let's jump into it. So I recommend y'all go through this front page beforehand, just so you, because it's kind of weird, it's kind of confusing, and that could eat up time. By the way, we'll probably start a little bit early, so I recommend getting here early if you can. Yeah, you can only ask about hardware and typos. Answer's probably going to be do what you think is best. Yeah, and don't ask about errors, because can't help with that. So first problem, pivot tables. almost definitely going to be, okay, there's definitely going to be pivot tables on the test. So first thing it says is you've been given sales data for the years 2013 and 2014 in the problem 1 worksheet. The data includes the date, customer, region, product, quantity, and revenue. Using these data, apply pivot tables, yada yada. So create a pivot table for each part. All right, let's do that. Insert pivot table, new sheet. Name 1A. So it says we want the customer with the largest number, not quantity. So that automatically is count. So we don't want the number of products that they purchased, we want the how many times they made a purchase. So we want of purchases in any month. So any month means 1 month. If he just says of purchases 2013, 2014 combined, then that would just be the total amount of purchases over those 2 years. But it says in any month, so in any 1 month. 2013 and 2014 combined, meaning we add 1/13 plus 1/14. So we're adding, if it's in January, we don't care what year it is, it's in January. And we want in which region did these sales occur. So they're asking what is the customer, the largest count of purchases in any 1 month, and in which regions did these occur. So we know that we're looking for the largest amount of purchases by a single customer in any 1 month. So this customer is secondary. And the regions is also secondary. We're just trying to find who, or the most, any one person made in any 1 month. So all we're looking at is customer and number of purchases. So we're going to look at customer and purchases. We're going to do quantity, and we're going to change that to count. And then in any 1 month, so we need the date. So, I don't know, when I did this on my version of Excel, it didn't do this for me. It just, all I had was date. And see, it didn't even do the month. So I had to go in here and do value field settings. So we only care about the month. So then I had to go into number format and drop down here and find the M. So that's all it's going to return is the month. So do that and it's the same thing. But so if we make this a little bit more visible, oops, too much. Okay, so now we got the information, we just need to find the highest one, which if you look in here, it's number 4. So no number is bigger than 4, so we're looking at customer 2 purchases in July. So we're just going to write customer 2 July. So now we can go ahead and write that in. Total number of purchases is 4. It's customer 2, and it's in July, so we already got 3 out of the 4. Am I going too fast? Yeah? Okay. How far should I go back? Yeah.
How did you get the months?
The months? Okay. So did it not show up like it did on yours?
No, mine's had like 20
Okay. So you come down here into dates. Anytime, like, I'll go into another way of doing this in a second, but like if you want to manipulate the data in a way, you're going to go into this field settings. And so you look here, and this is, we don't need any of this. That doesn't make sense. You come over here, and you're like, I don't know what any of this means. So the only other thing you can click is number format. So if you click that, and you come down here to M, it's just going to return the month. So it's going to throw out the year, the day, whatever. It's just going to keep the month. So click OK, and that'll give you this, January, February, whatever. Is that, yeah.
So since there's more than one way kind of to like do a pivot table for a specific problem, are y'all going to be grading based on our pivot tables at all, or just our answers and we get some actual questions?
I don't grade the tests, but from my experience, it's mostly answers. If you got a pivot table and you got like, I don't know, it looks like you're kind of close, then he'll give you partial credit. But so yeah, definitely make a tab, show your pivot table, and be aware of what you're displaying. Any others? Are we all up to date? Okay. So we're looking at customer 2 in July, and we just need to know which regions those were in. So, like I was saying, he's going to look at your pivot tables. So I would leave this here because, you know, that's the majority of the information, and I'd make another one. So I'm going to come back here, insert another pivot table. I want to do it on this worksheet. So I'm going to take that away. I'm just going to click here, stick it right there. Should work now. Only one row. That's weird. Alright, so we'll just do I don't know why that's not working, but we'll just do a new sheet. So we're looking at customer 2 and the date of July. So we're going to filter that out. And then we just need to know what region that was in. So we'll do region here. And in the value, again, we're just doing the count. So we'll go ahead and filter customer 2 in July. So that happened in Midwest, South, and West. So if you get something like this and you can't figure out how to manipulate the data, like get the month, I recommend coming over here. I don't know, this is a lot more intuitive to me. So you come over here and you're going to just create a new column. So you call it month. And then you can do this little month function. You point to this one and it just returns the month. So if you drag that, oh, it's going to make me drag it. So you drag that all the way down and it just returns the month for that row. So then we need to know customer 2. Let's say customer. So string functions definitely gonna be on there. So you could do the right and do the 2 or 1 character on the right, but we'll just do equals customer. That's fine. And then we need to know the region. We'll type that in there. Equals region. Oops. So this is the data we need. So we can just insert a pivot table from that. So we'll do pivot table. Let's see if I can do it on this sheet. So we can come back in here and do our month. Sorry, no, that's a filter. Filter out the month, filter out the customer, region. And since we're doing a count, it doesn't really matter what we put in here as long as we do count. So we do it again, month of July, customer 2, and so there you go.
Can you walk us through that again?
Yeah. So, sorry. Alright, so we come in here, and so like, say you forgot how to find out the month. I mean, you could use string functions here if you wanted to, since we know these first 2 characters are the left. So if you didn't know this month function, you can come over here and do left, oops, left, this cell, oops, just left of this cell, and we want the first 2, so that's not right. So this is being displayed weird. Alright, I don't want to do too much, so we'll just keep the month. There's a lot of Excel functions that y'all should be aware of, and I'll go into VBA and show y'all how to get those. So does that make sense, or am I still going too fast?
No, that's good.
Yeah? Okay, so you get the month. We're just trying to find, in the month of July, where did customer 2 purchase? So we just need customer and where he made the purchase. So then insert a pivot table from that data right here, which I pasted here. And then we're just filtering out month of July, customer 2, the regions, and the count. When you do count, it doesn't matter what you do. It's going, it's a cell, so count is count. Cool.
So how would you do that using the original data and the pivot table from the original data?
That I did in this one. So I went. Oh, what is that? That one I did in this table right here. So I went into this date, and you can filter it. So like, or sorry, not filter it. Number format. So like, you want it to be. So like, here, let's try if it. Let me try to get it back, and then we'll do it from the top. So. So original data, insert pivot table. Oh my gosh, okay. So the date was the problem. So if we come in here, it shows it as years, and you don't want that. You want the July quarters. Like, what does that mean? So this, I don't know. Does this show up on y'all's, the years, quarters, and date?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So you can just throw the years and the quarters away. So I don't know why it just automatically goes to month, but if it doesn't, you come in here in field settings, and like this is the only time you can manipulate data is in field settings. So you come here and you look at this and you're like, I don't know what any of this isn't applicable. Layout and print, I don't know what that means. So then the only thing else is number format. So you come in here, and how can you change the data to just get the month? So like you're looking at all this stuff and none of it looks good. M, that looks like a month. So M12, that's a month year. All right, so M's good. So you click M, and it'll display the month. Yeah.
Also, I'm just gonna say with the date thing, if you right click on a date in your pivot table, you can click group, and then it like pops up all the options. You can group by month or quarter or
Group?
day.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's way easier. Do that.
Also, for the like finding the location thing, I feel like I like double clicked on the 4 in the main pivot table, and it made like another sheet with like it said all of the regions.
Oh, well there you go too. That's also easier. Maybe I just like the hard way. Cool. All right. Are we all clear on that one? All right. So let me get rid of this. So now, what is the product with the maximum sum of dollar revenue for all dates combined? So all we're looking at is product maximum sum. That's pretty easy. So we go back here. We insert our pivot table. I'm going to call it one dot B. So we're looking for the product with the maximum sum. So we'll do product, all dates combined, don't even worry about the date. Revenue, maximum sum. Come in here, you can clearly see that this is the highest one, but we'll sort it, smallest to largest. All right, product 2 is the one with the highest sum. So we can write 2 is 33866.75. We all good on that one? Yeah. So now we need as a percent of total revenue. So we'll come back to here, do our field settings again. We want to show value as a percent. So make sure it's almost usually always going to be percent of grand total, but just beware, it may not be. So you can figure that out. So percent of grand total. All right, product 2 is 48%. Questions? Okay, so next one. Which region sold all 10 products in the period recorded? So in that one, we're going to insert our pivot table again. Oops. So all 10 products in the period recorded. So we're just going to go to region, we'll put that on the top, and we'll do product on the left. And all we need to do is make a count in here. So we'll do our count. So the region and the products and the count of how many times it was sold. So clearly West is the one that sold something every period. Or sold all 10 products in the period. Questions? And then what is the total revenue for the South region for the year 2013? Let's see. Total revenue South 2013 from customers 1 and 6, purchasing products 2 and 3. So again, pivot table 1D. Total revenue, you can stick that here for the South region. So we only want 1, so we'll put that on a filter. For the year 2013, we'll put that on the row. As we can see, if you try to filter with dates, it kind of messes up sometimes. So this is pretty clear. We'll just leave that. And for customers 1 and 6, we'll add that. Products 2 and 3, and we'll filter that out. And we'll come up here and want the South region. Customers 1 and 6. Products 2 and 3. So for year 20, oops, why did I do that? Year 2013 is 2320. There's like, you kind of expect there to be like a method to go about this, but it's really just, you just got to think about all the factors you're considering and make sure you take account for them. So does anybody have any questions on that? Anything about the whole pivot table section? No? Okay. Okay, next one. So you know there's going to be some message boxes. So we'll come up in here. What is that? So make sure y'all write your code in a module that's like automatic points off. Oh, okay, by the way. On homeworks, late up until the next homework is due, it's -1.5. And if your code doesn't run, it's an automatic 2.5 off. Because you can't send like if somebody asks you to write a macro for them at work and you send them something that doesn't work, you know, they'd rather be a day late than where they're just like, oh, this doesn't work. So what's up?
How do you make a module?
You go insert module. Yeah, the reason that you don't write your code in sheets is because this is for events. So like later you'll learn about like you can make code execute when somebody clicks a cell in a range or activates a worksheet or changes something. So that's where you do this here. So module is just general code. So do our one. Write our problem 2. Alright, so first thing, using the properties in the VB editor, assign the code name WSEX2 to the sheet with the tab name problem 2. So he says do it in the properties window, so that's not writing code. It's coming in here, and he wants problem 2. So we click the one that says problem 2, and we change the code name, which is this here. It's kind of confusing that this is the code name with the parentheses around it, but then up here it's not, it's the opposite. But just remember down here is code name, so worksheet example 2, change that. Alright, so that's A. So using VBA code and the code name for worksheet problem 2, make this worksheet the default sheet. I'm not entirely sure why he used the word default here. I'm pretty sure he just means activate it. Because when I hear default, I think when you open up the workbook, that's the worksheet that shows, which we haven't learned how to do that yet. So I'm going to write in here my assumptions. So I'm going to say assuming default equals active. So then we're going to activate it. Worksheet 2 dot activate. Oh, sorry. Did I sign it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is this what we changed to, like, instead of sheet to, we changed it to option?
There?
Why is it changing?
Problem 2. You double click on problem 2. Yes, and you make that bottom.
Good?
Make
Yeah. Actually, I don't know.
Oh, there.
Can I? I don't know how to do that. I don't know. Can y'all see that? It's right
Double click
here.
and then I change that one name from there to W.
So yeah, what I was saying is like
EX
the code name in the properties window is in parentheses, but then when you come up here into the project window, it's the opposite way, which I don't know why it is that way, but remember in the properties window, parentheses is code name. Are y'all clear on the difference between code name and name? No? Okay. So like this, so you come into Excel and say you send somebody some code. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. So you send somebody a macro and they don't know anything about macros, and so they come in here and I don't like problem 1, I like P1. And so when they hit run and you've written problem 1 in your code, it isn't going to run because they've gone in here and changed it. So a code name can only be changed in VBA. So that's the reason that they exist. So if you change the code name, nothing bad can happen like that. So yeah, he wants us to change the code name, which we did that over in here. We clicked the problem 2 worksheet, and we changed the code name to worksheet EX2. Did that explanation make sense?
What did you write on your sub problem 2?
What?
What was that? What did you write on your sub problem 2?
I wrote my assumption, assuming default equals active. Can y'all?
Right above that.
Oh, B. Just B, letter B. Yeah, because it's the letter B on the sheet, so I was just numbering them. Yeah. I don't know. How does he zoom it in? Do y'all know? Do what?
It just looks fuzzy.
Yeah. I'm gonna say enlarge. Zoom. Load. I have no idea. Oh wait, I can make the text bigger.
Go under tools and then options.
Yeah, that's where I was going next.
And then
Better? Okay, sorry. Okay. All right, so we're all caught up. Yeah. Okay.
So changing that to the WX example 2. Now that's what you use when you're coding.
You can still use worksheets problem 2 in quotes, whatever, but this is it's just easier.
That way, when they change it, use this one.
Yeah. So now, okay, so now we're doing C. To show your understanding of the dim statement, use letters I, J, K to define 3 integer variables using a single dim statement. So, I don't know, it makes sense to me to write it like this, but that's actually wrong. What that does is, you didn't write anything after I or J, so VBA automatically dimensionalizes them as variants. So you'd get a little bit of points off for that on this one. I know some of y'all did that on the homework, and like, it might work, but it's incorrect. So we're gonna write it all the way out. So we've got that. So the next one is define a range name that refers to the range B2 to B10 in the worksheet problem 2. So we'll say dim R as range, and make sure y'all don't forget the set when you're dealing with ranges. Say on worksheet problem 2 dot range B2 to B10. So the next one, using VBA and an Excel function in VBA, calculate the average in the range, yada yada. Okay, so one of the ways, so like you forgot how to do the average, like you forgot the syntax or something, you can come up in here and under View, you go to the object browser, it's also F2, and so this is really important. So you know that it's a worksheet function, so that's like the highest, I don't know what you want to call it, the highest category of these little dot function, dot whatevers in VBA. So if you come down here, you find worksheet function. So these are all the things that you can put after you put worksheet function dot. So there's a bunch of weird ones. They might be useful in your code if you forget the VBA function. So you look that up here. Or if like you know it's average, you can come up here and just type average, and you find all these things that you can use. VBA, average if, average ifs, all that stuff. So we'll get out of that. So we're going to define, or we're going to calculate the average in that range. So, and assign this variable to a double variable. So you say dim average as double. And average equals. Remember, before you use a worksheet function, you have to put application worksheet function dot average, and in parentheses we'll just put the range. So we just put R. So, have y'all used the immediate window? Yeah, you really should. It's, I mean, I don't know, when I first took the class, I didn't pay attention that day, and so I didn't figure this out until way too late. But so down here is the immediate window. You can pull it up through the View, Control G. So if we step through it, if we just want to confirm that the average is correct, so our average right now is 12.23. So we can just come over here and say average 12.11. Okay, it changed because it's, so these functions are random, so every time you type a cell they update, so that doesn't really work in this case, but it would. Alright, so we got that out of the way. Okay, so using VBA code, write the result in the variable to cell A20 in worksheet problem 3. So we're going to come over here, say that's F. We'll say in worksheet problem 3, so we'll say worksheets, problem, is there a space in there? There is not a space. Problem 3 dot range A20, and that equals that average we just calculated. So using VBA, do the following to the result, or to the cell with the result, cell A20 in problem 3. So we're going to keep working with A20 problem 3. So I'm going to go ahead and use a with statement here because we're going to do G, H, and I with that one. We'll say with worksheets, problem 3 dot range. So change the background color to yellow. That's interior. Oh, sorry. Let me. It's G. Dot interior dot color. VB yellow. Like EFG. That's wrong. It's EFG. Yeah. And then change the font to bold and italics. Dot font dot bold is true. Dot font dot italic is true. All clear. And change the format so that it displays a number with at least 3 digits to the left, and at most 2 digits as most 2 digits to the right. So, so that is a worksheet function. So it's, or sorry, that's an Excel thing. So that's number format. Whereas if you were trying to change the format of a VBA variable, it's just format and then in parentheses. So number format equals. So a pound sign is saying, if necessary, anything to the left or to the right, whichever side you're on, put them there if you need them, otherwise don't. So he wants at least 3 digits to the left-hand side. So we'll do our pound 000. So that's saying we're definitely going to include 3 and anything after that as needed. And then to the right, he wants at most 2 digits as needed. So we'll say 0, 0. Cool. That's something you're just going to have to play with and figure it out. You can just type it a bunch in here. By the way, say question mark, what is 5 plus 3? That's 8. So that's how you do that. You type a question mark. If we're in runtime, let's say we're running it. Oh. We're in runtime and say, all right, what is average? Well, you can come up here. Let's say, I don't know, you want, what's the average times 2? You come down here and you type the question mark, average times 2, and it gives you the answer. So we'll come back over here, we'll just see what it's doing. Come in here, we got the average. Worksheets problem 3. So I'm just going through and making sure it inputs what we want. So I put the average in there, changes it to yellow, bold, italic, and then does the number. Does anybody have any questions on that one? That whole problem? No? Cool. this test really isn't that difficult. It's just remembering syntax. And you can figure that out if you know how to use the object browser. So we'll go to problem 3. So this one, there's definitely going to be some string functions on there. Problem 2 was mostly, stuff you learned when you first started getting into VBA. String functions are y'all are probably going to lose some points on it. So it really just is practice. There's not like a whole lot of, again, there's not a method to this madness. Alright, so we're going to come in here. It says, using VBA code, read a full name from cell A1 in worksheet problem 3 and assign it to a string variable. Am I going too fast? Anybody have any questions? Yeah, kind of, so a little bit, okay. So he wants us to get a string variable from worksheet problem 3, cell A1. So we'll just do dim name as string, name equals worksheets problem 3 dot range A1. So it wants us to get the first and the last. Okay, so this is really complicated. So get the first name and the last name from the string. Program should run for any name, and there can safely assume that both the first name and the last name are at least 2 characters long, and that there is only one first name and one last name separated by 1 or more spaces in between and after the name. All right, what in the world does that mean? So basically, get the first name and the last name. So if you look at it, it's got these spaces here. So first thing we need to do is get rid of these spaces, right? So we'll come in here and we'll set. So on this summary sheet he gives y'all, where is it? The summary sheet, this is super important. I don't know, sometimes he prints a couple out if people forget them, but don't forget it. So you come down here, L-trim and R-trim deletes leading blanks. So that's what we're going to use. So you can come in here and do L-trim name. Name is R-trim name. Or you can just do you can do it all in one line if you care to.
What's the difference between that and just regular trim?
Trim.
Wouldn't it just trim like
Oh yeah.
take care of everything?
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Yeah, we'll just do that because that's way easier again. All right, so we've got the leading blanks off. So let's go ahead and make it print out what we got. So we'll come in here and type debug.print name. So like message boxes are really annoying when you're trying to debug because they pop up and you gotta click them or whatever. So this just prints name directly to the immediate window down here. So if we run it now, here I'll put little dots in there so we can see if it's got any blanks in there. So now we've removed the leading and trailing blanks. Again, the dots are just, I added them so we know exactly where it starts and ends. So now we need to get rid of this space in here. So that means we need to find in what sequence is the first space. So if you look at it, obviously we know it's the 4th character. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's right there. But again, they could put in any name. So we need to find that, and so we're going to use the inString function. So this returns position of text. It looks for the word is in this statement. So where does that start? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how that returns 6. So we'll say, I think it's easier just to make a new variable for the first name and the last name. So we'll do those. So the first name is everything up until the first space. So we're going to find the first space. So we'll do in string 1, as in where it should start looking. And then the first string that we're looking in is the string 1. So that's name. And then we're looking for a space. So we put that in there. So this right here is going to return 4 in this case. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we want everything to the left of that. So we'll say left, which is extracts a string. It takes the first, whatever the second element is, it takes that many first characters. So this right here returns 4, but we only want the first 3. We don't want that space in there. So we'll say -1. So that's going to return the first name. So let's make sure that's working. Come down here, type first. So let's see what that spits out. Oh, I didn't put the name in there. So yeah, the first element is the name. On the left function, the first element is name. Second element is how many characters you want from it. So we run that. All right, so we got the first name. So now we need the last name. So that's basically the same thing. We just want the last however many characters it is. So I think the easiest way to do that, you could do the, actually yeah, we're going to do the in string reverse this time. So yeah, in string reverse, instead of starting at the position 1, like in string, it just starts at the end and goes backwards. So we'll do our in string reverse. So the string check is our name. String match is a space. So that's going to spit out, in this case, it'll spit out 1, 2, 3, 4. Or sorry, no, it'll spit out, what is that? Whatever the length is minus 4. So our name is the first one. And put that in there. So let's see if that works. Oops. Okay, so this is keeping all this extra space here. So we need to get rid of all of that. So this, what it's telling us is this thing in string reverse isn't actually inputting 4 or 3 like we wanted. It's inputting way more than that. So how many spaces is it putting? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 spaces. So that is the same number that's here, oops, I believe. So if you're debugging this and you get something like this, you can come right in here and just do your immediate window, your in string reverse name, space. That's 7. So we want the length of that. Yeah. That's way smarter than what I was thinking. I was trying to go through and iterate it all. So you can come in here and do your L trim. run it. I'm going to comment out these other debugs just so it doesn't confuse us. So we'll run it, and there's our last name. So we'll comment out that again. So we've got our name. If you get stuck on that, and in my advice at the end, I'll go over a little bit tips and tricks for his exams. But if you get stuck on that, go ahead and continue on and write your assumption. Say, explain in your code what you did and why you think it's going wrong, and you might get some partial credit. So now, oh, we're still doing C. That wasn't C, that was B. So using an input box, ask the user to enter birth date. Assume that the user does enter a non-negative integer number. Do not have to check if input is a number. So that's good. So we're going to do, let's say, dim bday as string. Bday equals input box. Please enter your birth date. And then bd. And our title again. So we don't have to check, we don't have to confirm any of that. So next one. Check that the user inputs a value with exactly 4 characters. So, do what? Scroll, oh. Does that help? Oh, yeah, sorry. It's just a name. So check the user inputs a value with exactly 4 characters. We know that's our len function. So we'll do if not bday, or sorry, if not len bday equals 4. So if they do enter a value 4, then this will not execute. But if the value has more or less than 4 characters, show a message box with an exclamation mark, the value, whatever, and stop the program. So we'll say message box, the value, bday is not a valid MMDD. We'll call that VB critical. This isn't required, but I'll just stick it in there. And stop the program. So exit sub. Otherwise, oh wait, does it say? Yeah. So otherwise means it is 4 characters. So we will say, alright, so we don't have to confirm that it's actually like a real date. It's just that it's 4 characters long. So then show a message box with yes, no, and cancel buttons asking the user, do you want to use the birth month, birthday, or random number? So we need a response for that one. So I'm going to call RSP as integer. So when you're getting feedback from a message box, as in button clicks, make sure you all do as an integer variable. Because like VB yes doesn't equal 1, and VB no doesn't equal 0. So you can check that. I don't know what this is. Check that down here, like VB yes is 6. So we need an integer to store that. So RSP equals message box. Do you want, oh sorry, message box. Do you want to use the birth month? Yes. Birthday? No. Or random number cancel in your password. Oops. And y'all know that if you don't, like if you come in here and you put a comma and it says VB buttons, whatever, we have to do something, but if you don't want to do that, you just put another comma and continue on. So we need a yes, no, cancel. So VB yes, no, cancel. Oops. Over here. Okay. So now, if the answer is yes, then form a 6-character password as follows. So that's F. If RSP equals VB yes, then first and second characters are uppercase of the first 2 characters of the last name. Yeah. It's just all the text that was given, and then yes, no, cancel, and then a title. So if it's yes, so we know it says form a 6-character password as follows. So I'm going to define a password variable, call it p-word, a string, p-word equals the uppercase of the first 2 characters of the last name. So we'll do u-case, and we'll do first 2 characters, so we'll do left of the last name, and we want 2 of them. So that's going to output, what in this case, capital D, capital O. Everybody good? Yeah. So now, the third and fourth characters, lowercase of the last 2 characters of the first name. So we're just going to append that onto the end of this. Keyword and we want lowercase of the last 2 characters of the right name. So we'll do L-case, right, first name, and 2 of them. And then for the 5th and 6th characters, 2 digits of month of birth. So we'll just do the same appending thing. 2 digits of month of birth, so that's the first 2 digits that they put in because it's MMDD. So again, we just do left, D-Day, 2 of them. So that's our password. Who was it that used a string pointer on their input box? No, it's not here? Okay. So like, you know, you need like, so you have a message box and it's got okay, cancel, and it's got a field for you to enter stuff in. Like if you click cancel, it doesn't return a value for that. And so some of y'all like did the empty string. String pointer is actually the only way to like definitively define if they clicked OK but didn't have a value in there and they click cancel. I guess I won't go into too much of that detail since he's not here. But yeah, so in this case, there's only 3 buttons, and they have to click one of them, so we don't have to worry about that. So now we're on G, else if RSP equals VB no. So they answer no. Create a 6-character password just as above, except that the 2 digits for the month of birth are replaced by the 2 digits for the day of birth. So we can come up here and copy that first part. And then they just want the day of birth, so that's just the right side of the B-Day. Keyword and right, B-Day, 2 of them. So that's that part. Now, if the answer is cancel, create a
You forgot your P on RSP.
Oh, sorry. So if the answer is cancel, create a 6-character password just as above, except that the 2 digits for the month of birth are replaced by a 2-digit random number generated using the Excel function randbetween. So again, we'll copy this part. And so we want to append, oops, keyword, and so it's an Excel function. So we're using worksheet function, which we know we're doing application dot worksheet function dot randbetween. So I'm pretty sure this is in the summary sheet. Let's see. Say you've never heard of randbetween, so you want to come in here. Is it? No? Alright, so say, I don't know, does it give us the descriptions and stuff? Yeah, okay, so I'm pretty sure y'all can guess randbetween would be a random number between arg1 and arg2. If you couldn't, you can come into Excel. Since we know it's an Excel function, we can come into here and we'll say we're going to insert a formula. So this function sheet, or this function button, will provide more explanation than just typing here randbetween. Bottom top, okay, that's pretty explanatory, but we'll click it anyway. So if you search in here for randbetween, you can click it, and we see returns a random number between the numbers you specify. So, alright, we got our information. Randbetween. So, 2 digits. So if you put, like say you want 2 digits, alright, well that's between 0 and 99. That can return 1, as in one number. So we can't do that, so we need to do 0 to 9 twice. So we'll just copy this. There's one of them, there's our password, there's one number. Slap it on the end of that. And that's what that is. If you're like curious about that, you can think about like 0 to 9, right? Well, how precise are we going? Since you don't know, you don't have an answer to that, you can assume that it's going to be integers. So,
Could you have done 11 to 99?
11 to 99. You want to be able to do 0, 0 or 0, 1, so you're going to have to do 2 of them. So, if they click yes, this happens. If they click no, this happens. Cancel, this happens. I'm just going to put an end if here. The reason that I didn't do else is if they click the X button, then this would have executed, and we don't want that. So you gotta consider all conditions when you're doing if statements. So like greater than, less than. It could be greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. It could be an error, like it doesn't work. So you have to consider that too. So So print the final password in cell A2, problem 3. So worksheets, problem 3, dot range A2 equals keyword. So in the case, like I was saying earlier, in the case that they click the X button, then p-word is nothing. So assigning it to a cell doesn't do anything. So that's okay. And then J, Finally, display a message box with the time in minutes that it took to run the program. So automatically we know we're going to have to use the timer part of VBA. So we have to capture the time when the program started and the program ended, and then take the difference. So first thing we need to do when we start the program is to get that time. So we'll say dim t naught as double. Say t naught is timer. So the first thing this program is going to do is get the current time in seconds from midnight is how it does it. So we want to have our message box. So I'm gonna make a new variable so y'all can see how I define it. So we'll say dim, I don't know, elapsed as double. So elapsed time is the current time, which is timer, minus t naught. So that's going to be in seconds. So he wants it in minutes, so we're going to divide that by 60. So that's the elapsed time in minutes. So they want a message box, so type message box, elapsed time, and so this is going to give it's going to give a really long decimal. So he wants the minutes should include at most one digit after the decimal point if necessary. For example, a value of yada yada yada. Okay, so we could do our worksheet function number format if we really had to, but instead we can just use the VBA format, which is not dot number format, but just format. So our expression is elapsed, and our format is just going to be number sign and a 0. And we'll tell them that it's in minutes. Anything not specified is at your discretion. So yeah, that's the whole test. Does anybody have any questions? Any clarity? Yeah. So.
Is that supposed to be an asterisk in the format or an ampersand?
Yeah. Sorry.
And can you scroll to the top where you define T naught?
Anybody else have a question? No. Okay, I'm gonna, like I said, I've been recording this thing, and I'll give a YouTube link at the end so you can go back through it if you need to. So I'll go ahead and save it. That one? Yeah. So like I said, there's definitely going to be some pivot tables on there. Make sure that you define between count and sum using filters. So like you can come over here. And so like you can, like whoever was it that said when you double click the 4, I didn't know that. But say you come in here and you want to filter this out, you know, you go data, filter, and now you can filter out just right here. And like I said, also within the pivot table, and sorting, and then don't be afraid to add your own columns. If you get stuck, it's a really good way to make it your own. String functions, there's really not a good way to go about that. You're just going to have to practice a lot. Ranges, worksheet function, Excel, the difference between number format and format, and also the object browser. Input boxes don't return integers, and if statements. What do you want? Okay, yeah. And no, I haven't seen the test, but I'll be there on Thursday. What's up?
Do all the subs need to be in one module, or if they're in different modules, is that?
It's just gonna be annoying, but no, it's not gonna take points off for it.
So to start it out, like the hardest part for me is starting it. So you just go, like you do your, open it up and just do insert module, and your stuff will pop up with the sheets that you already have. Like the sheets that you already have will pop up.
You mean all these?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, like I did, the like, where you have to declare your variables, I checked that box, but it didn't give me that options explicit line.
What are you talking about? Is it like a tool or something?
Yeah. You do tools, options, require variable declaration. That was how I got that option explicit.
I'm pretty sure that only applies if you open a new module. Yeah, that's how it is. So if you open a module, then click that button, it's not gonna, it's setting a default.
So how did you get it on there before?
I just typed it.
Oh. And that works too?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
First up, every time we hit the average, the numbers would change on the function. Was that kind of on the test?
That's an Excel thing. So when random function, anytime you change the value of a cell, it updates all of them. So yeah, it's gonna be that way.
So on the test, I just came back with numbers.
Everybody good on this? I'll send this in an email out. So okay. Yeah. So with his test, like there's gonna be some ambiguity, and y'all are gonna have to state your assumptions. You can be, that guy and be all, well, technically it just says that's totally good, as long as you state your assumptions. If you get stuck, move on, because it's all about partial credit. And use the object browser, be familiar with it. Also, the immediate window, really important. And then I'll set off an alarm to remind you all to save every 10 minutes, because there's always somebody who doesn't save and then gets a 0. So don't be that. One of my buddies actually got a 0 on the final, and it was not good. Yeah, and so the way I study for this class is just to go back and do all the practice problems, all the homeworks, start from top to bottom, and then after you've done all those, do the practice exam and just keep running through it until you can get it in a really quick amount of time. If you get 100 on it, you're probably good. They usually are a pretty good representation of its actual tests. Cool? All right, well, that's all I have for y'all. Again, if you have any homework questions, yeah. So.
Can you run it? Mine's, we both have the same error.
Yeah. There might be one. The problem 3?
Yeah, problem 3.
Wait.